my greenhouse is starting to bloom. It's the middle of July, and as you can see, these tomatoes are the ones that overwintered. They didn't look very healthy when they did, but they lived. But these are those, and look at that, they are really going. And there's some tomatoes over there that are new. But the one thing I wanted to talk about today is the greenhouse is an ecosystem. And I think when you talk about that in comparison to what commercial greenhouses do, it has become obvious to me that a commercial greenhouse versus somebody's private greenhouse, you can't really operate the same way. And let me tell you why. It's quite simple. This will really illustrate it. Let me show you something. Now, what is that guy right there? That's a wasp. That's a hornet. And what they do is, they do pollinate the plants too. I don't know if they're as efficient as honeybees, but they do. The other thing they do that's very, very important, they hunt down all of the insects, or the smaller ones, that will eat your plants. Like the inchworms and things like that. Notice here, I've got some cabbage and cauliflower and stuff. Now, it's not growing very well because it's just too hot in here. But notice one thing. Look at this. I don't use any pesticides or anything. There's not one bite out of these things that normally, it's real difficult to keep the inchworms and the caterpillars out of these things. They love cabbage. But see, there's not one even small bite out of these. Well, there's one that looks like something took a bite out of that, but they didn't get very far. But you can see along here, you don't see them. There's no insect infestation. It looks like maybe something here got a little start, and then it's gone. Now, why is it gone? It's because of these guys here. See, there's one right there, crawling around on that leaf. It's because they hunt around and they eat these things. They're just like, in the insect world, these things are like ferocious predators. They go after anything. Now, and what happens is this is why the commercial greenhouses can't do this. See that? There's a nest right there. See if you can get a little closer. See those guys? They're busy. Now, if I get up there and bang on that, those things will come out and they'll sting me until I'm sorry that I did it. And I've got a lot of those inside here. Earlier, let me show you another one over here. There's a wasp nest growing right there. That's a paper wasp. There's nothing coming out of it. But look at as you can see, though, there's no bugs here that are eating my plants. It's just not happening. And it's because of those hornets or wasps. See, there's another one. So, see, if you look behind there, there's another wasp nest back there on the other side of the plastic. And there's another guy. Oh, there's one right there. See, behind the plastic? See, look at those guys go. They are very busy. But they don't bother me unless, I disturb their nest, or they think I'm disturbing their nest. So the wasps and the, I guess they're wasps or they're yellow jackets, whatever they really are, they are doing a job here controlling the insects. And also, I've got praying mantises that are creeping around, and ladybugs. They're all creeping around here because there's no insecticides in here. But what they're doing is they're eating all the bugs that want to eat all my plants. Now, the point I'm trying to make here is that a commercial greenhouse cannot have a whole bunch of wasps, hornet nests, yellow jacket nests inside the greenhouse, because they got a whole bunch of people in there. They're picking fruit or doing whatever they do, and they're gonna disturb one of these nests. And some people are allergic to that stuff, and they have bad reactions. But either way, getting stung by a yellow jacket ain't no fun. So a commercial greenhouse cannot have things like yellow jackets loose inside of a greenhouse. I can, because you just don't bother them, and they don't bother you. They just go about their merry business of eating all the little bugs. So, you know, if you want a natural greenhouse, which is what I have, it does work. The hornets or the wasps or the yellow jackets, they do eat the bugs that eat the plants, and they do keep things healthy for you to grow the plants. But there's a downside if you disturb them, or they think you're a threat because you're, you know, banging around on their nest or getting too close to their nest, or you basically it's disturbing them by banging on something that if they think there's some threat, then yeah, they'll sting you, and it's terrible. You imagine if you had workers in here and they were getting stung, so you can't do that. So the commercial greenhouses must be forced to do something else. Can't have live hornets running around in there. So what else is there to do? Well, I'll leave that up to your imagination. Maybe it's chemical, maybe it's spraying, maybe there are other things, praying mantises. If you turn enough of them loose, you might catch a lot of things, but you have to have a lot of them. Ladybugs work, but nothing, in my experience, works as good as these wasps. They totally eat everything up, and they pollinate too. So anyway, that's just a little thought of commercial versus a home greenhouse. And when you see something about this is greenhouse grown tomatoes or whatever, they can't really be totally, I don't think they can be totally natural, because if you don't allow things like yellow jackets in, you got to be something artificial in that case, or you just can't grow anything. Comments. Please comment. Am I wrong? Or correct me? Or I think, you know, just talk about this. The one thing that's really interesting to me about this whole thing is that I can walk in here, and as long as I know where the nests are, and I stay away from them, or I don't, you know, take a hammer and bang on them or something, just let them do their business. You know, they'll be flying all around me, and they don't bother me. They only bother you if you bother their nest, or they think you're too close or something. But you got to get right on them before they think that, in my experience. Anyway, that's my little thing about commercial versus natural greenhouse.
Talk about nature's struggle. I was just in here picking tomatoes, and I saw this. Look at that. There is a spider that has captured a fly. Now he's eating them, and he's not the kind of spider that builds a web. This is the kind of spider that pounced on this guy and ate him. Now that's another thing that's in the greenhouse. Now flies, you know, they don't do a whole lot to damage your crops, but there are other bugs that are about that big that do. See that? He's kind of frightened because I'm watching him. But he's got him. You can see him move every now and then. Now see, look right up here. Well, you can see right up here the hornets that are flying around. They're just everywhere. See, there's another one right there. See him right there? He's out there doing his thing all over the place. And the hornets will do that too.